Hey guys, I can't believe it's time again for Scream Queens. I'm so excited this show was renewed for a second season, and it's been a year since we've seen each other for this show, so I'm so glad that it is back. I've been reading your tweets and comments about the premiere. They've been kind of all over the place. Some people totally hated it, some absolutely loved it, and some thought it was a little bit slow. Personally, yes, I thought it was a little slow, but I'm gonna cut this show some slack because it's not like other shows that have multiple seasons because they're kind of like starting all over. Yes, we do have some return main characters, but we also lost some of our main characters, and we have brand new famous main characters plus a new setting, a new type of killer. Everything's kind of like a new show in a way, you know? So they have to take some time to establish everything. That's what they were trying to do in this episode, and I think maybe the next couple episodes they're going to be trying to do that as well. But I was so glad to get some of the familiar people, to see some of them and the kind of the familiar jokes that we got used to last season, so I was happy for that. So we start off in the 80s with a Halloween party and like a bunch of medical workers and someone who is probably not gonna live, and he doesn't live, but he looks like he's super sick. And we have a doctor played by Jerry O'Connell, and I love Jerry O'Connell, and I had no idea he was gonna be on the show, although I think he's just in this premiere. But I just got the vibes that he was pretty shady, and he kind of like wasn't trying to help this man who's dying. He was acting like it, but then he like pushes him in the swamp or whatever to die. And we get some hints about who our new killer is going to be. I think we kind of saw like the mask at this point, like a green mask. Later we learn that the killer's name in this season is the Green Meanie, which kind of fits perfectly with the show because when we see him later in the episode, the costume is very menacing, very scary, but the name is so funny to me and kind of silly, like both elements of this show. So we see that Dean Munch is back in action this season, which we knew was going to happen, but we don't really know why she is involved with medical stuff now, you know. But she tells us, basically, after everything that happened last season, she decides she wants to reform the medical system in this country. And we also learned that a Netflix documentary was made about the Chanels, and they kind of got famous off of it for a while, but their fame faded quickly. Now, I was getting major Making a Murderer vibes from that Netflix documentary flashback, especially when they were interviewing Hester with the grainy footage and she was on the couch, and it really reminded me of the Brendan Dassey interview, so thumbs up if you agree. Obviously, Making a Murderer is a very, very serious, true story, and they're this is kind of comedy. But anyway, I liked the parallels there. I thought that was actually pretty funny. So Dean kind of wants to bring everyone back together. She wants to bring the cast back together, or bring the people back together from season 1. So the first person she goes to get is Zayday, who is in med school, and I guess the dean says she'll pay for it if she comes and joins her, and they like kind of become a team, and they're going to work together, like it seems anyway, this season. We're introduced to our two new main characters, or two of our new main characters, John Stamos, who is a doctor, and Taylor Lautner, who is a doctor, I think. And John Stamos, we find out, has had a hand transplant, and it definitely looks like this transplanted hand has a mind of its own, and a lot of you were saying that it was like a movie from, the 90s with Devon Sawa, about where the hand is possessed by the devil or whatever, and so some people are wondering if that means that the John Stamos character could be like the killer, or his hand is making him kill people, making him be the Green Meanie. I think that's a really good guess so far, even though it's really hard to have theories this early into the season, but I really thought that was pretty perceptive, and I like that. I can't take credit for it. Idle Hands. I don't know if I've seen that movie. I feel like maybe I have. I think it must have come out like a really long time ago. So we're also introduced to Werewolf Girl, or this person who has a condition which makes her grow like all kinds of crazy body hair, even on her face and everything. And that person was played by a girl from SNL from the latest season. Why is her name escaping me? I've totally forgotten her name, but it'll probably come to me. But I really like her, so I was happy to see her in this role. Anyway, so we kind of get some flashbacks about the Chanels, and we see that they graduated and they were all kind of working on their own in the medical field in one way or the other. And then we see that the dean like enlisted them and got them to come with her at this new, I guess, hospital or whatever. So now we have like our cast, or some of our cast, a lot of our cast back together. I know a lot of people were upset because Grace and her dad Wes, no one really explained where they were, why they weren't in the season. But I think that's the show's way of kind of being like a standalone season, trying to be different and not talk about too much about what happened in the past. Yes, they're addressing some things, but not really. So sadly, I don't think they're ever going to address that. One of the things that I thought was really funny was when they all were talking about ghosting and no one could figure out what ghosting actually meant, but I think it was Chanel number 5 that gave the true definition of ghosting is like when you're talking to a guy or something and you think things are going great, and then they just completely disappear and they don't tell you why and they stop texting you back or whatever. So, but everyone else had it wrong. So then we're introduced to Kirstie Alley, who is Nurse Hoffel, and she seems really, really shady to me. And when I was doing my live chat this week, many people thought that she could possibly be the woman who I didn't mention before from the beginning, from the 80s, who was pregnant, like the nurse. This could definitely be her. And many people are wondering who her baby is. Is that one of our characters? This person should be about 31. So if you have any ideas on that, let me know. If you already have some ideas about who the killers will be and why killers, there's probably multiple killers, you can also let me know down below. I think it's really funny that the Chanels still have high hopes of being news anchors, like being on Fox News or having their own doctor talk show or whatever. The comedy in this show is one of the reasons I really like it and keep watching it and have tuned in for season 2. So everyone was trying to figure out in this episode how to cure the werewolf girls' hairy problem, Hairy Mary. And actually Chanel number 1 figured out that she had like, I think it was like too much fat or vitamin D or something in her diet. So they needed to change her diet around, give her testosterone so that she could lose all the hair. And then she didn't really like herself when she lost all the hair, but they gave her a makeover and she looked really good. But I knew that they were going to kill someone in this episode, and so it ended up being the Hairy Mary person and Chanel 5 and those hydro water chambers or whatever. Like, that was kind of something they tried to kill the dean in last season. And then we actually get to see the Green Meanie. He's funny. He's like dancing around and he beheads the Hairy Mary person, and it looks like he's going to attack Chanel 5, but I think we've seen her in the promos and I think it's pretty safe to assume that she is not dead. I don't really think they were going to kill off a main person this early in the season. So anyway, so far, you know, I have really high hopes for this season, and I think it's too soon to like really judge what the rest of the season is going to be like. I'm so excited to get more Denise. We got just a little bit of her in this episode, but more Denise, and definitely Chad Radwell, who's one of my absolute favorite characters. Can't wait to see him because we didn't see him in this episode. Just to let you know, I'll be doing live chats on Scream Queens every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. That information's all down below. And if you are new here because you love Scream Queens and just found me, or if you've been watching me but you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, give this video a thumbs up. I would love for you to be part of the Kelly TV family. I think it's going to be an awesome season. I'm also covering other shows. That information's down below, so hopefully you'll be with me right now currently for the next few weeks to talk about the other 2 shows that I am covering. So thank you so much for watching this episode of Kelly TV. I'll see you next time. Bye.